round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around. I'm getting bugged driving up and down the same old strip.
The year is 1903. The Southern Pacific Railroad was expanding its railways in Southern California. The farm and ranch communities in the Santa Susana area were enlivened with anticipation that a new railroad depot was coming to town. The Santa Susana Railroad Depot operated at its original location at Los Angeles Avenue and Tapo Street from 1903 to 1974. After the depot closed, the Rancho Simi Foundation and Park District purchased the depot for $1 from the Southern Pacific Railroad, saving it from demolition. In 1975, the depot was moved to its current location in the Santa Susana Park, adjacent to a working Union Pacific rail line. Armed with our passport to history books, we visited this charming destination, nestled in the hills of Simi Valley, to learn more about its historic significance. So Tom, you're wonderfully dressed as a station agent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But we all know that you are the museum director for the Santa Susana Railroad Depot.
Yes, I am.
What was the role for the station agent?
He was in charge of this whole place. He's the one that sent the telegrams, received the telegrams. He worked the counter. He took care of the people that came up here and had business up here. You know, you could wire money here. And for the first time, way back in those years, it took a long time to get money wired someplace. And when this place came to your town, it was pretty exciting to have a beautiful station like this built in your town. It was like the internet coming down your street, you know, but 1903 style.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating.
You may be hearing the locomotive just about
yes,
now.
He's coming around the bend.
Is he coming around the
Yes.
bend? Oh.
The train depot was the center of activity. You know, you would come down to find out the latest news and ship out citrus. If you had a package to mail or if you had a phone call to make, there weren't that many phones in a small community like this back in the early days, so you would come down here, place a call. You could use the agent's phone there to the operator, and then if you were going to make a long distance call or something, the operator would place the call for you and then call you back and say, okay, your call is ready.
Well, when these benches were built in 1903, that was when the Wright brothers were flying that airplane at Kitty Hawk. In 1903, Henry Ford built the first automobile for the general public. It looked like a buggy with a motor on it. Also, Harley Davidson built the first motorcycle, the 1903 Harley, that looked like a bicycle with a motor on it. So that's what it looked like when a carpenter was actually fashioning and installing these benches. They're 110 years old, and we're sitting on them today.
So we're literally sitting on a piece of history.
We are. The floors are original in here. These walls are original walls. They're all wood. They're 1 inch thick, not 3/4 inch thick, but 1 inch thick California clear redwood. That's what they're made out of. So it's all authentic.
Tom, I notice that you have several mannequins here. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Oh yes, they not only are they dressed correctly, but they're all named too. You may not know that, but they're all named. Like for example, this is Marcia over here. You can tell by Marcia's posture and her expression, she's a little upset. Can you see that? Right, well, the reason why is over here is Bill. Now that's her husband, Bill, and this is their son, William. Now they're taking a vacation. Bill is buying a ticket. They haven't been on a vacation since they were married. It's been a long time. Bill is dressed in his one and only white shirt that he owns because he's a rancher boy. And William is very excited to go on his first train trip. So you'd think everybody would be happy, but Marcia's upset. Well, Bill has been up here at the ticket window for over an hour now, buying his ticket. Well, if you look at who's selling the ticket inside there, you can see perhaps some of the problem here. How long does it take to buy a ticket after all? Every weekend they do this. Marcia gets upset. Bill buys the ticket, but he takes way too long.
Well, I noticed there's a female behind the window.
She's very attractive.
Did they perhaps tell you where they were going?
Burbank. Oh, that's right. They're going to downtown Burbank for their vacation.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful downtown Burbank.
And I would imagine it'd be a pleasant ride.
I'm sure it will.
Well, maybe Marcia will be cooled off by the time they get to their destination.
I know, but when we open we're open every weekend. Every weekend she gets upset again.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure you're here to notice all of that action, right?
We are, yes. Thank you.
Well, hello there.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Fantastic. We're so excited to be here.
Wonderful.
I understand you're also dressed as a station agent here for the San Susana Railroad Depot, but you're actually a docent.
Correct. Working here at the depot for about 14 years as a docent primarily, and then of course helping out with the displays and so forth that you see around the depot. So we've gotten involved in the whole display of the depot, its historical values basically.
Well, you know, we just came from the waiting room, and now this is a room that I understand the station agent would have worked in.
Correct. This is the working space that the agent spent most of his time here at the depot.
Great. Can you show us around?
Absolutely.
Just by looking at this room, I really feel that I'm stepping back in time, and it looks as though someone just left right in the middle of their shift, and they're going to come back at any moment now. And it just feels so much more intimate.
We actually had an opportunity to meet a gentleman named Bill Valentine, who actually, I think it was back in 1958, worked here at Santa Susana on the second shift. Basically, when he sat here and shared some of these stories, he was telling us about how nice the depot looked and how he remembered it just the way we have it set up here.
Okay, well, I understand where he would have sat here if he worked here, right?
Primarily, this would have been where the typewriter was, and the agents would have been typing up train orders and doing a lot of their commerce. Absolutely. I know we display our agent over here next to the telegraph key, and with a fine example of the phone over here. But this is most photographs you will look at, you will see the agent sitting in front of a typewriter. And that's where he would have been banging away on those keys to make up train orders.
And I see that there's an old-fashioned phone over there.
Candlestick phone is what these were called. Of course, if it rang, he would pick it up and he would say, "Hello, Santa Susana Depot," and then he would continue with that conversation. Yeah, these were nicknamed candlestick phones. So here again, just some examples of communications in the early days and what it would have looked like here at the depot.
So, Kurt, is there an interesting story about this young lady right here?
Absolutely. The story goes that we had a husband and wife team that worked here and lived here at the depot, Roscoe and Laura Sims. Their daughter was born here and raised here for a short time. So in honor of that little homespun story that we can share here at Santa Susana, we decided to name our ticket lady here Barbara Sims. So that's how she came about. Here's a little story about about Laura and Roscoe Sims. This is the way it's written up in the history book.
Oh, let's hear it.
And I'll share it with you, yes. Rumor has it that Roscoe actually dared Laura to get a job with the railroad. This was in the 1940s. Well, that's all Laura had to hear. And if you knew Laura Sims, she just had a lot of energy. So she goes down to the Southern Pacific headquarters and she passes the test with flying colors. And she ends up working right alongside Roscoe here at Santa Susana. Now, was that part of the plan that Roscoe had when he dared her to get the job? We'll never know. But they worked here, lived here, and as I said, Barbara was born here and raised here for a short time. So that's our story about Laura and Roscoe Sims.
It sounds like it really worked out for them, that they could work together in the same place. But I would imagine that there weren't a lot of women working at the depots.
And you would be correct until we go back to the war years. Laura worked at, I think, about 7 different locations. So women were very prominent in the railroad, specifically through the war years. And she did work here up until the 1950s, I believe. So she was here for quite a while. In fact, she was here for the dedication of the depot in the 1980s, and then she passed away shortly thereafter. Beautiful lady. Beautiful lady.
Well, it's amazing how you describe the mannequins in detail, because it's as if these people are still here.
They are a part of this place. And, you know, people can walk into that waiting room and visit with the Appletons, or at least get an idea of what it was like to come into the depot and stand at the window and talk to Barbara and perhaps buy a ticket. And then sit around that stove if it was a cold day and wait for that train to come in. Just that whole scene, if you can use your imagination and kind of just get a good feel for what these mannequins represent and the time frame that they represent also. It just makes things just a little bit more homey. In fact, I might be sitting in that chair in about another 50 years as a mannequin. Who knows? So, yeah.
Well, Kurt, thank you so much for sharing the story of the office and all the wonderful characters who grace the depot.
And that's a perfect way to finish it, I think. That's exactly what they did. They graced the depot. Nicely said. Thank you.
Rich, I understand we're in the freight room of the depot.
Yes, you are.
And I'm just so excited about this room because this has such a magnificent layout. Can you tell us a little bit about the club, how long it's been in existence, and about the layout?
Thank you. The club started back in the 1980s, and that's before the station was here. So then we started working on a layout down in the ticket office, and we've been in here since '94. We're still not done. We have about 500 feet of track. We can run as many trains on the track as we have people to run trains. We love it. We really have a lot of different kinds of guys here. Some really just want to run their trains, and others like to use their artistic abilities to make where the trains are running look more like what they've actually seen, the places they've been. We just have a lot of fun.
Well, that's just great. Well, speaking of the members, I know that you have some members in this room right here. Do you mind if we go inside and meet some of the guys?
Let's go.
Being a model railroad club, the members, not all members, model Southern Pacific. So when we run the trains there, we bring our own locomotives. And of course, we got Southern Pacific, we got diesel, we got steam, we got old, we got new.
I think what we really are doing are being kids again and playing. Seriously. I'm thinking now of when I used to build roads out in the backyard with we had these big cement mixers and graders and stuff we used to play with.
Yeah.
I forget who, Tonka toys. And the worlds that we created were real. And I think that's what we're doing here.
For me, it's like a refuge. It's a sanctuary from the outside world. For me, it's I find a lot of peace here. Everybody seems to be involved in their own particular. I mean, I like weathering myself, particularly cars. You make a boxcar or a rolling stock or a locomotive look like it's been out in the elements for either years or just a few weeks or whatever it might be.
I can develop a scene with my little miniature people, and I can spend 3-4 hours just miniaturizing myself and thinking what they're doing and how they're interacting with each other, and and I develop something that looks real, and I enjoy that. I get a lot of pleasure out of trying to duplicate real life situations with miniature people. We'll be in here running our trains, perhaps our own favorite ones, or doing an operations session, and as soon as we hear a toot of a horn or a rumble of wheels, we're out the door. To have the real live action right next to the station is mind-blowing and something that most others cannot offer.
So whenever you visit one of the participating sites of the Passport to History program, make sure you get your passport stamp. Keeping track of your travels is certainly part of the fun.
And you're all set.
Well, thank you so much. For more information about visiting hours and how to become a member of the Depot and Model Railroad Club, please visit them online at www.santasusannadepot.org.
Come see us at the Depot.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you on the road.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around.